now be recorded.
I'd like to call the Plan Commission meeting for Tuesday, June 7th to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Kodowski.
Here.
Jim Allen.
Present.
Jake Brigger.
Here.
Keith Tabacki.
Here.
Mike Skippington.
Here.
Corey Campbell.
Here.
Gary Paul.
Here.
Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please remember our men and women in uniform throughout the world. I have no changes to the agenda. I need a motion to approve, please.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Motion carried. Action on the minutes from the regular meeting of May 3rd, 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve those minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Motion carried. Thank you. Number 6, comments from the public must be limited to items not on the agenda, must state your name and address. You're limited to 5 minutes. The board's role is to listen and not discuss the item. Personnel items cannot be discussed nor individual's name, and the board is not able to take action at this meeting. Is there anybody who would like to make any comments? Any public out there who would like to make comments? Is there any public out there who has any comments? Hearing none, we'll move on. Action items 7A. Action regarding a request to rezone parcels VA-372 and VA-373, 484 Dutton Avenue, from R1 one-family residence to R2 two-family residence. Aaron.
All right, thank you. The request is to rezone the indicated parcels on Dutton Avenue. They are currently 2 vacant 40-foot wide parcels of land. The request to rezone those from R1 to R2 to allow for the construction of a duplex on the property. In order to develop the duplex, the parcel line would have to be removed through a combination certified survey map. Applicant is aware of that process. Excuse me. As depicted on the map, surrounding uses are a mixture of R2 two-family residence zoning and R1 one-family residence zoning. The 2016 Village of Schwabana Comprehensive Plan identifies this area as within the Riverfront Broadway District. Residential two-family land use is identified as allowable within this district. Considering the property surrounding considering the properties surrounding this requested rezoning, staff recommendation is to recommend approval of the rezoning from R1 one-family residence to R2 two-family residence. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, Mike Smits, as the owner, is also in the audience.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Knowing the area down there, we've done a lot of things down there to try and get away from the 40-foot lots to make something happen down there with the two lots making something happen. We've done some garage alternations, lot alternations. I don't see any problem with it. It's in the historical section of the Schwabenland, so I don't have any problems. If there's no other questions, I'll move to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to rezone parcels VA-372 and VA-373. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
This that item will then go to public hearing and village board on the 28th.
Thank you very much. Okay, 7B, action regarding the preliminary plat of 3 Putt Meadows parcel VA-L202-2. Aaron.
This is a proposed preliminary plat as submitted by Steve Beta of Mound Associates. Mike Androshko of Mound Associates is in the audience today. This property is up for the preliminary plat of 3 Putt Meadows. This plat actually was started a little over a year ago, actually a year and a half ago, but pulled back at that time. Prior to action on the original plat, there was a neighborhood meeting held in February of 2021 to present the proposed subdivision plat. We had a few people show up, no real opposition. People were curious about what was being proposed for the property. This property historically had quite a bit of floodway and floodplain in it. That has been addressed through letter of map amendment, letter of map revision for fill. DNR and FEMA have both approved the amendment to the floodplain, and the lots now do not include or impact of any floodplain at all. The floodplain and floodway is now contained within Outlot 1, which is right through here, which also contains 2 stormwater ponds for purposes of stormwater management for the subdivision. Outlot 1 is proposed to be dedicated to the village for purposes of, again, stormwater management, as well as future trail construction to the north. Should the A&R pipeline easement that runs southwest to northeast of the property ever be developed as a trail and extend out to Sand Acres Park and the Sand Acres Trail. As you can see, the proposed subdivision does include an extension to the north with a temporary cul-de-sac right here. Should the Highland Ridge Golf Course ever develop, this portion of the golf course to the north is developable, and this does then provide the opportunity for that property to develop in the future. The preliminary plat includes a total of 60 residential lots. These are to be 0 lot line duplexes. So again, the lot line will run through the middle of the property, intended to be owner occupied parcels. But again, just like anyone else, should they not be able to sell, they could potentially be rented like any other duplex or single family home. Mentioned the future trail. In terms of trail planning, one additional item, Grant Street right now is a rural cross-section county highway. We evaluated the potential to put in a trail along the south side right here. Currently, because it is a rural cross-section road, it's exceedingly difficult to develop a trail. The trail has to be located on the backside of the ditch. Basically, it'd be in the front porch of the homes. Staff's recommendation is that when Grant Street is reconstructed as an urban cross-section street in partnership with the county, that a trail be placed on Grant Street at that time, consistent with the bike and pedestrian plan for the village. The utilities for the plat are not currently here. Utilities will be extended, sewer, water, so on and so forth, at the developer's cost from their current terminus at either Sand Acres or to the west. We're also in communication and coordination with the town of Lawrence. Town of Lawrence utilities will be providing some of the service to this area through our cooperative agreement with the town. In terms of recommended conditions of approval, include the following. Preparation and adoption of a formal development agreement between the Village of Ashwaubenon and developer for approval by the Ashwaubenon Village Board. Specific details to include utility, including sanitary sewer, storm pond design, and access from Grant Street, water main, and roadway, curb and gutter, sidewalk, roadway, street lighting, initial and final asphalt design, construction, warranty, and payment. Process for deeding Outlot 1 to the village for stormwater management purposes. Number 2, receipt of proper DNR permits and approvals and the cleaning of the tributary to ensure proper water flow prior to deeding of Outlot 1 to the village. Labeling of the temporary cul-de-sac at the end of the north-south street on the east end of the development. Identification of street names unique to Brown County. Identification of locations for cluster mailbox units to serve the subdivision. The U.S. Postal Service no longer allows for individual mailboxes on a per lot basis. They do require these cluster mailboxes, as you probably saw in Highland Ridge. Approval of the rezoning of parcel VA-L202-2 from R1 Single Family Residence to R2 Two Family Residence. Obtaining an approved floodplain permit from the village for any development activity within the revised flood fringe floodway areas. Payment of the park fee of $42,900 as a condition of final plat approval. And number 9, approval by the Brown County Planning Commission. If you have any questions regarding the plat, conditions of approval, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, again, Mike Androshko, representing the developer, is in the audience as well.
It seems like you've got,
Could you talk into your mic, please, Mike?
it seems like you have a conflict here on number 6. You're saying if you approve this, then that has to be approved, and yet that's the next item. So should it be deleted or should it be taken up first?
So
How do you-
you can conditionally approve or attach conditions to plats. You cannot attach conditions to rezoning. So the reason the plat is in front of the rezoning is because we can conditionally approve the plat on the rezoning. And that way, if the rezoning is recommended by Plan Commission and ultimately by Village Board for approval, that will be in place then. So that we can knock that condition off right at Village Board, basically.
Okay.
So Aaron, in essence, these are going to be all duplex lots then?
That's correct.
And for example, on lot 44 and 43, you're going to have one half of the duplex on 44 and one half on 43?
That's correct.
I know, Aaron, when we first looked at this, there was a question about the little, I'm going to call it a ditch area that heads to the east. Yep, that. Was that concern taken care of?
Yes, right. So that will be attached to those adjacent lots.
Okay, so that won't be the village.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Trying to look at my conditions here. We should probably include that as a condition of approval. Looks like I might have forgotten that one. What President Kardowski is alluding to is this little strip of outlots that extends between the lots. What we found is that over time, those tend to just kind of grow up in weeds and really kind of just don't look very nice for the landowners, and people tend to take over those properties. Instead of the actual identification of the outlot, we'd recommend a 20-foot easement for stormwater conveyance purposes. So that way it's actually owned by the property owners, not the village, but we do have the easement that allows for the stormwater to flow to the storm pond.
That's a very, very good idea. Otherwise, you get a mismatch there of all sorts of different things.
So we would add that as one of the conditions of approval.
Yep.
Since there is that ditch on Grant Street, is there any problem with the driveways then coming out of there? What is that going to look like?
So they do have approval from Brown County for driveway access onto Grant Street. So that's Brown County's jurisdiction.
When you talked about the pathway or walkway under the fully improved urban cross-section, would that go on the south side of Grand Street then? Is that what you're thinking?
No, that would be on the north side of Grant Street. The difference would be within the right of way. We have 90 feet of right of way to work with there.
You got plenty to work.
Plenty of right of way to work with.
Okay.
Yep.
That is not going to happen until Grant Street's redone then?
That's correct.
Is that what I heard you say? All right.
Right. That's our staff recommendation anyway.
Does the county have any idea when that's going to happen?
Not yet, unfortunately. It's in relatively good shape as a county highway. It functions pretty well. There's traffic on there, but not in an inordinate amount of traffic that would require upgrading immediately.
The
But-
condition of the road is pretty bad.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because last time I drove, it didn't seem that bad, but certainly could have changed over this winter. We certainly can approach Brown County about their timeline to find out when they think that might be reconstructed. But as of right now, it's not within their 5-year plan.
What's the speed limit on that roadway right now? Because you're adding all these additional driveway access points. The traffic there has a tendency to move pretty fast right now.
It does. And I'm not sure what the speed limit is right now. If I had to guess, I'd probably say 45. but I don't know that for
I
sure.
think you're right. I just traveled that shortly.
There is another grant process coming up in the fall for roadways. That's another thing. I don't know, Aaron, if you, I think you're, I don't know which one you're on, but on Brown County Plan Commission, I think there's another whole granting process in coming up in fall. So I'll send you that information and unless you have it.
Yeah, I do. That would have to be a Brown County driven project since it's their street.
Okay.
But I'm going to give Brown County Planning a call and just find out if and when they think that might get on the 5-year plan.
Okay. Okay.
Aaron, back in 21, second month of 21, you had a meeting, neighborhood meeting on that. Have you heard anything at all since that time?
I have not. We, as part of the rezoning though, we do send out notice to all property owners within 200 feet. That mailing went out last week. Haven't heard anything back yet, not to say people won't come to the public hearing, but I haven't heard nothing since.
All right.
I think this adds a lot of diversity to our building stock or our housing stock out there. I'm not necessarily in favor of any more multifamily per se. I think we've got enough of that. But when you're looking at the cost of residential housing now on a typical lot with something of real significant size, you're talking about costs that are just incredible. So I think this maybe gives us more diversity in a section of the market that could probably help us out in the long run.
I agree.
You're saying it's probably going to be duplexes where somebody buys it and then rents the other half. Is that kind of the thought process?
In
Not
initial discussions with Mr. Huss, that was, I guess the niche he saw was a situation similar to what I'm in, where my parents are getting older. At some point, they may not want to have their own home, but it might be easier if we jointly purchase one of these buildings and are there for care, things like that. But now that said, if they can't sell, they certainly have the ability to rent them, just like anyone else does.
So this isn't going to be like a condominium complex where there's going to be HOA fees or anything like that?
No.
Or somebody's going to be maintaining the property?
No, the nice thing with this is because the lot lines split the duplex.
Yep.
Each side is responsible for their yard. They actually own the yard and the house.
Gotcha.
I believe that's the same concept that is on Prairie Street with the new duplexes that were built back in the 70s with zero lot line from like Morse south to Cormier. And then they built some 2-story ones. Those were privately owned and rented out. But the duplexes, single story, I'm sure those were zero lot lines.
Offhand, I couldn't tell you.
I was back there then in that time.
But unless there's any other further discussion, I'd make a motion to approve the preliminary plat of 3 Meadows, parcel VA-L 202-2, noting the 9 conditions of approval in addition to the assurances also that that drainage swale, that acreage or that square footage be attached to the adjacent lots on both the north and south side.
Yep, duly noted. And I did include it in the text. I just forgot to include it to the actual list of conditions.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the preliminary plat of 3 Putt Meadows, parcel VA-L 202-2 with conditions plus the added one.
Yep. And then this will also go to village board on the 28th.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, 7C, action regarding resubmitted rezoning request for 1680 Grant Street, parcel VA-L 202-2 from R1 one-family residence to R2 two-family residence. Aaron?
All right, so you know the background for the parcel. Obviously, we just discussed the plat. In terms of the Ashwaubenon Comprehensive Plan, it identifies this area as within the Sand Acres neighborhood and indicates residential single family as desirable and residential 2 and 3 family is allowable within this district. So although the proposed homes are attached units, they will be primarily owner occupied and therefore kind of bridge that gap as trustee Kabaki alluded to between the 1 and 2 family homes. Staff recommendation is to approve the requested rezoning to the village board.
Okay, anybody have any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the rezoning as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second of sending this rezoning, approving the rezoning and sending it to village board on 1680 Grant Street. Any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Okay, now D, because it was tabled at site plan, do we still go forward with
We
this?
still have to take action on it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, 7D, action regarding comprehensive revision to Ashwaubenon sign ordinance, section 17-6-200, Ashwaubenon Municipal Code. Aaron?
Okay, I'm happy to announce you get an extra month to review this document. Site Plan Review Committee would want additional time to review the draft document. Their recommendation and action was to table the draft ordinance until their next meeting, middle of the month. My recommendation to Plan Commission would be to table it to your July meeting.
I just want to say, I've read this thing 3 times. I have a clue what I'm reading. Just-
Sign ordinances are notoriously legal, notoriously technical, and no matter what you do, there are always loopholes. So if you have a chance to read through it a fourth or fifth time, please do. I certainly appreciate it.
Can I,
You've got to understand this is the U.S. Supreme Court, and lately there seem to be very interesting. Let me put it that way.
it seems to me that, can we talk about it just for a second?
Well, you can talk about it
Sure.
before we table it, yes.
Okay. If I put up a sign and said, it's a boy, it's okay.
Correct.
I put up a sign that says, there's a Nativity Church is having a picnic. It's okay. What's an example of something that can't go up?
We can regulate based upon,
Oh, yeah, I get that. If it fits all the,
if
you
it,
know.
we cannot regulate it based
what
on
it's set
content.
on.
Absolutely not. So what the code does is it really takes away from saying this is a political sign or this is a real estate sign to saying this is a sign. And here are the parameters upon which you as a homeowner can put up a number of, whatever number of signs are permissible for this period of time and this size. Also, not just you as a homeowner, but also businesses, so on and so forth.
If it meets all the other criteria,
Right.
What can't go on the sign?
We don't limit content.
I'm saying if you read it, if you have to read it to understand it, it's like, it's a sign. I expect that you would have to read it to understand it.
Well, what we can do is we can measure it. We can see where it's located. We can see the materials it's made out of, but we cannot regulate the content. Now, there is one caveat to that, and that's for off-premise signs. So in the original Supreme Court decision, there was kind of some discussion back and forth whether it's applied to off-premise signs. What came out was that, well, we think off-premise signs can still be regulated. So for instance, you cannot advertise. So say my gas station is a mobile station. I can't advertise McDonald's 5 blocks ahead or something off premise. The Supreme Court just reaffirmed that interpretation about 2 weeks ago in a more recent decision, that we still can regulate off-premise signs. which from our standpoint primarily deals with billboards. So we still can regulate billboards as off-premise signs and maintain restrictions on them as appropriate.
Okay,
So you need a motion to table it.
I do.
So Aaron, this is basically the document that I reviewed.
Yep, you got it.
That's what I thought. I know when I was starting to go through it, that's what I thought. So, okay.
Is there a motion to table?
I'll make a motion that we table it.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table 7D. Well, we have no comments, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's tabled. Done. Number 8, items for next agenda.
How about the sign code?
We'll have the sign code back. Okay. I need a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone.